The restaurant was quiet that night. The kind of quiet where you can hear the water outside, where candles flicker and nobody raises their voice. Marcus looked across the table at me. He had this calm on his face, practiced, comfortable. He said he found a kindred spirit. He said he was done playing the role of the perfect husband. I looked at him. I did not flinch. I did not cry. I reached into my bag. He spent 2 years building a secret life. He used my business to fund it. He planned to leave me with nothing. If you've ever given everything to someone and watched them treat it like nothing, you already know how this feels. Subscribe. This story has one of the most satisfying endings I have ever told. I do not want you to miss it. My name is Elena. I own a florist shop in Savannah, Georgia. I built it from scratch over 11 years, every early morning, every holiday rush, every difficult client and last-minute order. That shop is mine in a way that is hard to explain to someone who has never built something from nothing. Marcus came into my life 8 years before any of this happened. He was charming in that easy, surface-level way. He could talk to anyone. He made friends in 10 minutes flat. We got married. We had 2 kids. Maya came first, then Leo. Good kids. Honest kids. Marcus handled the books for the shop. That was the arrangement. I ran operations. He managed the accounts. It seemed practical. It seemed like a partnership. What I did not know then was how much access I had handed him. Our family vacation to Hilton Head was supposed to be a reset. 6 days. A rental house near the shore. Marcus had suggested it. He was cheerful the whole drive down. I remember thinking he seemed lighter than usual. I did not understand why. Not yet. What nobody in that room knew was that I had spent the previous 6 months building a file. It started with a feeling, a small one, numbers that did not line up the way I expected. A withdrawal I could not account for. A vendor payment that went somewhere I did not recognize. I hired a private investigator in January. Her name was Carol. She was methodical and she did not waste my time. By March, the picture was becoming clear. Marcus had 3 women he was seeing, not 1. 3, across 2 years. He had a rhythm to it. Weeknight work trips, Saturday morning errands that ran 4 hours too long. Carol documented all of it, but the money was the part that made my hands go cold. $200,000. Gone from the shop accounts over 18 months. He moved it in small enough increments to avoid easy detection. He funneled it into accounts opened under his mother Diane's name. I looked at those account statements for a long time before I said anything to anyone. My jaw stayed tight the entire drive to Hilton Head. I want to be fair here. I want to tell you what the years actually look like. In year 4, I hired a second part-time employee without consulting Marcus. He did not speak to me for 3 days. He told his mother I was becoming impossible to live with. In year 6, I was invited to speak at a small business conference in Atlanta. I was proud of that. I told him about it over dinner, he said, and I'm quoting this exactly, that it was cute that the shop was getting some attention. Cute. I kept working. I kept the shop growing. I stopped telling him things I was proud of. Then there was the text. Carol found it during the investigation. Marcus had been texting one of the women about me. He called me the shop boss from hell. He wrote that he was tired of living in my shadow. He wrote that she understood him in ways I never had. I read that text message twice. Then I printed it. I added it to the yellow envelope. I did not say a word to him about any of it. Then came Hilton Head. Tuesday night, dinner at the table, candles lit, the kids eating quietly. Marcus set down his fork. He said he had something to tell us. He said he found a kindred spirit. He said he was done. Maya's silverware hit the plate. Leo stopped chewing. Diane and Arthur went completely still. Marcus looked at me, waiting. I reached into my bag. People always say just cut them off and move on. But what do you do when cutting them off means watching them destroy what you built? What would you have done? I am genuinely asking. I want to tell you about the 6 months before that dinner. I did not cry much. That surprised me. I thought I would fall apart when the first report came in from Carol. I thought I would confront him, scream, something. Instead, I got quiet in a way I had never been quiet before. I called a family law attorney in February. We met 4 times before spring. I documented everything she asked me to document. I organized the account statements. I cross-referenced the vendor payments. I printed the PI reports. I opened a separate personal account and moved my salary there in small legal transfers. I consulted a financial advisor. I had the shop appraised quietly. I gathered the deed to the house, which had always been in my name alone. On the morning we left for Hilton Head, I called my bank from the car while Marcus loaded the luggage. I froze every joint account. I put the yellow envelope in my bag. I made sure the kids had their bags. I got in the car, and I asked Marcus if he remembered the sunscreen. They had no idea what was coming. When Marcus finished his little speech at that dinner table, the room felt like the air had been pulled out of it. Diane had one hand over her mouth. Arthur sat back in his chair. Maya looked at me. Leo stared at the tablecloth. I did not raise my voice. I placed the envelope on the table. I told Marcus I was not surprised. I told him I had been preparing for this conversation for 6 months. I opened the envelope slowly. I set the PI report on the table first. 3 names, dates, photographs. 2 years of documentation. I heard Diane make a sound, then I placed the bank statements down, page by page. I pointed to his signature on each transfer. 18 months, open in his mother's name. Arthur leaned forward and looked at the pages. He understood exactly what he was changed. The practiced calm was gone. I slid the divorce papers across to him. Already filed, already dated. I printed text message on top, the shop boss from hell. The fog was coming in off the water outside. The candle between us kept flickering. Marcus pushed back from the table. He told me I had no idea what I was doing. He said I would regret this. His voice was getting louder and none of it sounded like the man who had been calm an hour ago. I told him he was welcome to call his bank. He picked up his phone. He tried to access the joint account first, then the business account, then the secondary account Carol had helped me identify. All frozen, reported to the bank that morning for suspected financial fraud. He put the phone down on the table. The dinner bill was sitting near his elbow. He looked at it. He looked back at me. He could not cover it. Leo stood up. He looked at his father for a long moment. He did not say anything. He walked outside toward the water. Maya followed him without a word. Arthur picked up the bank statements again. He read them slowly. I watched his face change as he understood what his son had done. Diane tried to speak. She said Marcus had been under a lot of pressure. She said I needed to understand his side. I told Diane calmly that the accounts were opened in her name. I told her that made her potentially liable for the transfers. I told her she might want her own attorney before she said anything else. She stopped talking. Marcus spent that night in a cheap motel 30 minutes from the rental house. His credit card was declined at the first one he tried. He found a cash-only place eventually. The house in Savannah was in my name. It had always been in my name. He had nowhere to go back to. When I walked out of the courthouse 3 months later, the air smelled like leaves and something cold coming in off the river. The judge had given Marcus 30 days to repay the $200,000 or face criminal charges. His attorney had called me cold and controlling in open court. The judge had not looked impressed by that strategy. I stood on the courthouse steps for a minute, just stood there. I thought about the 11 years I built that shop. The early mornings, the hard seasons, the holiday rushes I ran half sick because there was no one else to do it. I want to be honest with you. There was one night in March, after I got Carol's second report, when I almost called it off, almost put the envelope away, almost convinced myself I had misread everything. I did not sleep that night, but I also did not call it off. Here's what I know now. The weight I had been carrying for 2 years was not the marriage falling apart. It was knowing something was wrong and pretending I did not. You are not the problem when someone decides your value. You are never the problem. Tell me something. If this had been you, would you have done the same thing, or would you have given them one more chance? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story right now, send it to them. They will know why. If this story gave you that feeling, that specific satisfaction of watching the truth finally land, subscribe. Because I have more. Stories about people who were written off and counted out, who then made sure that was the last mistake anyone made. See you in the next one.